And that means that we move into doing out in the world. But before we move into the doing part out in the world, we want to get ourselves centered and anchored and really in that deep consciousness within. Because then the outside events, the circumstances, all of the things that take place in our lives come from that well of inspiration and of wisdom that is within us. And we anchor ourselves to the source of all good, to this divine wisdom, this freedom, this joy, this love, this infinite possibilities that is divinity expressing as us, in us, and through us. And so there's a great quote by Leonard Jackson that says, "The way out is in." And so really, if we've been doing it the other way, which most of us have, being on the outside and just working with the circumstances out there without checking within first for that indwelling source of all wisdom, maybe we want to do it a different way. So all month we've been talking about going in and going up. And the up part, I think you all know, if anyone's been here, is symbolic of up, looking up. I know I do it when I'm thanking God. Thank you, God. I just look up automatically. So we know that God isn't up there. God is within, and God is everywhere because it's omnipresent, but it's symbolic. So far this month, we were doing the 7 ups, Norman.
7 ups.
Yes, 7 ups. And so we've gone up and away. We've gone all over, but we've mostly gone up. And so we bring the topic to a close by asking ourselves this question: is it really up to me? Is it really up to me? And so in that question, we can really pose somewhat of a paradox in our New Thought teachings. So we want to get into that a little bit today. And you're probably all familiar, most of you might be familiar with the 4 levels of conscious growth that Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith of Agape really coined. And so we've discussed it before in my other talks, so today I'm just going to lightly touch upon it, that life is happening anyway. So the first stage is why me, which is victim consciousness. The second stage is by me. And the third stage is through me, and the fourth stage is as me. And we use these usually in an unconscious mode. You know, the by me part is usually where we figure out in foundation class, that which was going on right now, that we can actually create our life, so it's being done by me. So I'm not going to go into all of those today. We will at a later time again. But this is the mindset where we think we have to do things ourselves instead of just through me and as me. And so when we're in that state where we think we need to make things happen, that's when the power of just our will alone, where we push and we push and we push to make things take place, and it can be really exhausting, but that's the way that we know how to live life. And maybe you don't do it that way. Am I alone in this? Yeah? Oh, the rest of you let go and let God all the time. That's so evolved. I learned from each and every one of you.
We've taken you to heart and have done exactly what you said.
So there's the story of a woman that was warming up before her morning jog. And she stood a few feet away from a tree, and she was leaning against the tree, pushing, as she was stretching her hamstrings, her calf muscles. And she was in the midst of this runner's stretch, this ritual, when a young man was walking by, and he stopped and he turned to her and he said, "Lady, you will be there forever doing it that way. Just use a saw. It's much easier." So many of us, it goes with the talk, so just, like I say, roll with them. How many of us sometimes feel that way, though? you know, that with all of the challenges and all of the problems that are manifesting in our lives, and we're pushing and pushing, and we're constantly pushing to get things done. And you might get some of it done, you might get all of it done, but it really truly is exhausting. So let's be really clear then. So this morning, we're going to be really clear. There is something for us to do. In fact, there's several things for us to do to manifest our desires in our lives. But there's one thing that we absolutely cannot do, and it's a really big one, and it's not ours to do. It's not ours to do. And it's something over which we have no control. And so for you lovers of control, this could be a biggie. So let me say it again. There is one thing that is not ours to do, over which we have absolutely no control. And that one thing that is not ours to do, and over which we have no control, so take a deep breath, then you can repeat it after me. I have no control over the outcome. I have no control over the outcome. Now we're going to see how that works. Because it feels like a paradox in New Thought, because we're taught to create, which we are doing. So maybe you've heard, maybe not a lot of you, but Daniel Nahmod has some beautiful music. And so he has this CD, Water, and on it is this beautiful song, and it's called Planting Seeds. I just want to read the lyrics so you can just hear. He's a New Thought singer. It's wonderful. And he writes this in his song. I've been planting seeds on the ground, watering them with sweat and tears, scattering them all around. Guess it's what I'm supposed to do with my years. Funny thing is, I may know what I've planted, but will never show. It will always seem a perfect mystery. Whatever grows will grow. Whatever dies will die. Whatever works will work. Whatever flies will fly. Whatever fails will fail. Whatever is meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Sometimes I still like to pretend I know what the harvest will be. But I always find out in the end, it really is not up to me. Funny thing is, when I just do my work and simply trust, it always seems to be that life is looking out for me. Whatever will grow, whatever grows will grow. Whatever dies will die. Whatever works will work. Whatever flies will fly. Whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. And there it is. What are we doing, like constantly, every second of our lives? We are thinking thoughts. We are planting seed thoughts. That's what we're planting. So are we aware of those seed thoughts that we are planting? So it's absolutely up to us to first to decide what seeds we wish to plant, to go inward and upward through visioning, which is a great way to get a clear idea of what it really is that we want to manifest, do in our lives. To listen to that inner calling, which is intuition, to listen to that inner calling, that divine voice within. And whether this nudging comes through our divine urges or that sense of discontent. Discontent is a good thing. You know that, right? Because it proves to us, shows us if we really pay attention what we don't want in our lives. So that's the great thing about discontent, being discontent with what is. And then the other part is then knowing what it is you really want to experience in life. Then it's completely up to us to plant those thought seeds. Those are thought seeds that we plant. And we will plant those seeds through prayer, as Rick was talking about, our working consciousness. Just by thinking alone, we create by default. If we're not consciously planting those seeds, we will still reap a lot of what we sow unconsciously. And it is exclusively up to us to water and nurture the garden. Not with our sweat and tears, as we've been taught possibly, but by tending to the vision. As Mary Morrissey says, come from the vision, come from the vibration of that which you truly want to experience in your life. Get a hold of what that feels like. And that's where you want to plant your seeds from. That's where you want to manifest, by mentally putting ourselves in it already. And we water our garden of seeds with our faith, our trust. Our trust. So it's totally also up to us to weed our garden by not allowing those negative thoughts, the doubts that come in, just catching them when they come in and pulling them up, throwing them out. And there's this beautiful passage that I absolutely love from Ernest Holmes in this thing called You, which is what Mary read from. Great book, which we do have at our book table. He wrote, just as you watch your garden, that foreign seeds shall not fall upon it, producing a growth of undesirable plants. So you must refuse entrance to any thought you do not wish to see manifested in your life. Guard well this garden of your mind. It is God's garden of your soul. It is the Garden of Eden, wherein may grow your fondest desires and hopes, blossoming into fulfillment. Or if you permit, the weeds of destruction, fear, and doubt will choke out the beauty of hope until despair alone remains. Watch carefully then the garden of your soul. Plant there only seeds of happiness, of joy, of peace, and of goodwill. It may be necessary to cultivate your garden, to uproot the weeds, and straighten out the rows, planting new seeds, new ideas, broader visions, and a deeper realization of life. And he continues, new aspirations must be bedded here. Think of life as your garden, and your thoughts are your seeds that go into the law that produce the effects in your life. And as those effects show up, those conditions show up in your lives, then you can pull out that which no longer serves and go to the place of what is it I want to experience, and replant those seeds of what it is you truly want to experience in your life. Because as we said before, in life stuff happens. And as stuff happens, we get to choose how to respond to it. Now I'll go back to Ernest Holmes. I just had to get that out. He writes, new aspirations must be bedded there, fertilized with the fervor of hope, the conviction of faith, the reality of wholeness, and the quietness of peace. Watch our garden carefully. Guard it patiently, waiting for a new harvest. For you shall reap what you have sown. And so remember, we always plant the seed of what we desire. We're always doing it. And so we look around and we see what's going on in our lives, and it really does give us clues. You might not have vision to actually have that experience that's in our lives, but it gives us clues as to what we may be thinking, and it also can guide us. It can guide us into a new idea of something else that we want in our lives, because this is our discontent. We don't like this. So how is another way I can create? Because we are creative beings. The infinite energy, and that's what God is, energy, pure energy with a warmth and a character and personality. This infinite energy is always creating out of its nature, which is itself, pure energy, pure vibration. We say this over and over again. This is why music touches the soul. It's pure vibration. And that vibration can uplift us And that's God moving through us. That's God moving through us. So the thing that we got to remember is that we're very clear. Ernest Holmes talks about being specific with what seeds we're planting, but we don't outline for the universe. We don't outline, which means we plant what we want. We know what we want, but we don't say it should come this way, and I want it to come that way, because that's letting go of the control of the outcome. It's going to be so much better, and it's never going to unfold the way you think it's going to unfold anyway.
Right.
It's never gonna, because someone's going to bump into you, and you're going to get a phone conversation, or you're going to get a whole new idea, or you're going to get an inspiration that you could not have planned. So that is letting go of the outcome. Okay. Margaret. And that takes us to another thing that is up to us to do. We do need to do. There needs to be some activity. Don't think you sit around and not do anything. Just visioning is an action. But then when you get the inspiration to do, if you don't do, you will not manifest, guarantee it. And if it's the first time, lots of times we try to do it outside of ourselves. That's why we're emphasizing this month to go within, to do it within ourselves. It has to be an inside job. It's an internal thing when we create. That's why sitting in meditation is so important. So important. We do whatever work in the world there is to do. That's on the outside. We do that. And that's what we have to do. Well, we don't have to do that, but we first go to the place of inner guidance. Trusting, that's a big one. Trusting that we are infinitely supported by the universe, which is God. We are always supporting. It's so important for us to really deepen into that place of trust that there is a power for good, which we talk about all the time. There is a power for good, and that good is always supporting us. It's always there for us. It doesn't go anywhere. And that's the beauty of New Thought. When you can deepen into that concept of having the idea and understanding and faith that there is a power for good that is always supporting you, wow, you could breathe a little easier sometimes. Ernest Holmes also wrote, turning to the one with complete abandonment and an absolute trust, we will find that we are already saved, already healed, already prospered. And sometimes that could be the rub right there. Because it is so hard for us sometimes to have the vision and act as if it's already there when we're in a place of deep discontent. But that's our work to do. And it's also a beautiful support system that the universe is always there for us, to really understand that. I can't emphasize that enough. Because we try to, I of myself can do nothing. I mean, if we just go by that alone, it is the Father within that doeth the work. But the Father within is your divine guidance system. Are we listening to it? Are we listening to it? And I'm sure that many of you have heard this poem I love. It's called Let Go and Let God by Loretta Burns. It's such a beautiful poem. As children bring their broken toys with tears for us to mend, I brought my broken dreams to God because God was my friend. But then instead of leaving him in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help with ways that were my own. At last I snatched them back and cried, "How can you be so slow?" "My child," God said, "what could I do? You never did let go." One of the most challenging things that we will find in our lives is to let go and let God. Because we do it all kicking and screaming on our way. So it's an ongoing process for us to deepen into. It's up to us. No one else can let go for you. Woo! No one else can let go for you. Of course, then we have the final and one of the most important steps, and it's something that, and I think of yesterday at our panel, because we did a lot of spiritual mind treatments, affirmative prayer there, and I think of that. And it's the release stage in our prayer, which is the very last step. That's really letting go and letting God. And in his 5 steps to freedom, Dr. John Waterhouse wrote, when you release your treatment, your prayer, you are releasing the creative process into full expression. All of spirit is now available to provide unlimited combinations of events, participants, circumstances, and possibilities that will work in divine order to manifest whatever you have claimed in truth. This is all part of the treatment. Most of this potential exists beyond our ability to imagine. It occurs in precise balance and timing to provide the perfect outpicturing of your demonstration. By releasing, letting go, you are opening up and allowing all the power and potential of divine spirit to support you and to express your desires into physical form. That's the creative process that we teach in our foundation class, and I always have to look at our symbol because that symbol is the creative process. And those of you in the class now understand it because we went over it in great detail. You know, the seed, up here, that's us in the middle, the seed, the soil, and the experience. The seed thought, as we think, it goes into the law and becomes our experience. It's how it works. It's how we create. That's as simple as Ernest Holmes could break it down. So, it's up to us to let go and then let God. So, is it really going to be up to me? And so the answer is yes and no, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to make sure you're paying attention. I don't know everybody's sleeping. So we all have to do our part to explore this concept this morning. And those are absolutely and completely, those choices will always be up to us. We must plant the seed thought that we wish to experience, if we choose. And then the outcome is really not up to us. It will be what it will be. It is the Byron Katie work. It is what it is, period. It is what it is. What do I want to feel? Instead of it is what it is and all of these becauses that go with it. You remember when Margaret Creek was here, that's where the suffering lies. And all the stuff after the fact. She said everything is either reality or fantasy, or fact or fantasy. So you know how good we all are in the fantasy part. The fact is the fact. I'm standing here in front of you is a fact. Any judgment that you make after that is fantasy. You made it up. So the funny thing is what is this? The funny thing is when I just do my work and simply trust, that was part of Daniel Nahmud's song. The funny thing is, when I just do my work and simply trust, it always seems to be that life is looking out for me. And I want us to do something this morning. A bit of a ritual, but very in alignment with this talk and this whole month, with our theme. And it's about going in and going up. This is an internal rather than external ritual. So if you like, you may close your eyes, if you like to join me, and see yourself as you are today. With everything going on in your life, just see yourself. If there is a challenge in your life, see it. If there's a dream you are working on, but not quite there, see it. Just get a good picture in your mind of that. And when you have it, place your non-dominant hand over your heart. And let that be a symbolic gesture of love and acceptance. Simply love and accept yourself right where you are, right here and right now. And take a couple of deep breaths and just love and accept yourself. You are a being of the divine. You are a creation of the most magnificent power that exists. Now, keeping your hand over your heart, continue to love and accept you right where you are. And at the same time, see yourself down the road. See yourself with the issue or vision completely addressed, happy and joyful. With the dream fully manifested. And now you are excited. You're excited about this big dream, this big reality at this point. You are the you that you came here to be. Sharing your gifts and your talents. Being the light. And that you has a great deal of wisdom and knowledge. Much more, this is the future you, much more than you have today. Imagine yourself in that place of manifesting what it is you want in your life. And see yourself as that person. And when you see yourself as that person, use your dominant hand to be place it over the non-dominant one, over your heart. And that represents the you, and place it on top of the other, and you have your current self ask the future self any question you want. So I'm going to stop talking for a little bit. I'm just going to leave you a little time. Ask the question. Future self to yourself right here. But put them intertwined, each finger inside the other hand. Still at your heart, laced together. And this lacing is the conscious integration of the two, recognizing that you are already that which you desire. Feel empowered. Feel uplifted. Feel inspired. Feel enlightened. Energized. Feel the joy. And when you do, separate your hands and raise them up to accept. This is in celebration
celebration, accepting all the good the universe has to offer you.
And if you really feel inspired, you can stand up with your arms up in the air. Claiming your good. So, I know that the universe is here to support each and every one of us. I know that this universal life, this good of divinity, this divine joy, this divine accomplishment fills the lives of each and every one here. Each one claiming the good. And we symbolize this with our arms outstretched, knowing that within us is a power that is more than we could ever imagine. And so I claim that each one's vision is already manifesting in their lives. And in this claiming, I give great gratitude for the joy, for the infinite possibilities, and for this perfect manifestation right here, right now. And so it is.